the kettlebell clean. Now, the kettlebell clean is quite a difficult movement to perform effectively because a lot of the time guys struggle to take the kettlebell from that hip or from the floor and take it comfortably to our front rack position where we're going to perform our clean. Okay? We can do this one of two ways. We can either do single arm kettlebell cleans or double kettlebell cleans. Now, the start position may be from the floor and it may be from the hip. Okay? If we're going from the floor, I'll just do it as single first. The kettlebell will start between my feet, just as I normally set up my kettlebell snatch. Okay? I grip the kettlebell and notice my feet are just outside my hips. I'm not taking that wide stance like as if I'm going to do a kettlebell swing or a double kettlebell swing. Yeah? So my feet for the single arm kettlebell clean are just outside hip width. I then adopt my setup position. Now my setup position is like so. I sit the hip back, keep the chest up, keep everything nice and tight here. This is moves with my unit. I grip the kettlebell and now I have tension everywhere. My hamstrings and glutes are tight, my back is nice and straight, my chest is up, and my shoulders set back and down. I drive straight up, open up, and take the kettlebell to my front rack position. And I can come down, and I can swap hands, and take the kettlebell again into that front rack position. Now, let me show you that from the front, okay? Notice when I've done that, I kept that kettlebell nice and close. I didn't take the kettlebell out and around at any point, okay? So, again, I keep it nice and close, and take the kettlebell to this position here. Now, this front rack position, when I'm in this front rack position, let me just bring you up a bit so you can see what I'm talking about. This front rack position is like so, okay? We can see that the kettlebell is nice and close to my central line. I've not got it out wide here or stacked on my shoulder height. Okay, I've got it nice and close, it's stacked over my shoulder, so as you can see that is literally right up into the shoulder and it sits over the central line. I haven't got it behind, yeah, it sits over the central line. As I turn that kettlebell over, watch how I bring the elbow close and rotate into that position, okay? Now, when I do that, if I just take the camera back down again so you can see what we're doing. Oh. There we go, perfect. So, when I do that from the floor, notice how I adopt the same position on each side. Notice how the kettlebell remains nice and close over that central line. And notice how, from side on, the kettlebell stays nice and close to my body the whole time. I don't let that kettlebell come out and round and bang onto my shoulder. Yeah? That's if I'm going to take the kettlebell from the floor. Now, the alternate to that is the kettlebell clean, but you can go from the hip. And with this one, we don't have to alternate, okay, it's a lot quicker in a workout, but it's not as efficient because you haven't got that slight rest period where we drop. It's going to be a lot more energy sapping if we're going from the hip for constant reps. But it's also a very effective way to get a lot more done in a shorter amount of time. So, if I wish to utilise that kettlebell clean, the clean itself remains the same. So, I take the kettlebell from the hip, I keep it close, and I keep it over that central line when I catch. But notice, as I go down to that bottom position, that position I'm in here. So, as I pull that kettlebell, the shoulders step back and down, the weight is in my heels and in my hamstrings and glutes, my chest is up, everything's nice and straight, and my wrist is the only point that makes contact with that groin. I'm not too deep into that position where the forearm then makes contact with the groin, okay? When I load everything up, I then fire it straight up into that high pull and pull the kettlebell round into that clean. So what I might be looking for in that case would be doing a few reps, straight back down again, and then when I want to swap hands, all I do is I meet the kettlebell and then continue on the opposite arm. Notice how my hand's out here somewhere and on the other side as well. As I swapped, the hand comes out again. That's just to counteract the balance between the kettlebell and the empty hand, okay? From here it's a lot harder to keep that upright posture. This does just help a little bit, okay? Especially if you're doing a lot of high reps. And that is a very effective movement we can do in our workouts. Again, If we're doing single arms, it might be slightly heavier. If the weight's slightly lighter, we want to get more done, then you might want to turn it, flip back to going straight from the hip and swapping every 3 or 5 reps. But that is the single arm kettlebell clean.